I'm Bianca.
And I'm Grant.
And this is the Lake House Project.
Alright, so now that we have gotten all the electrical laid and got this inspected by the people installing the larger staircase, it's now time to build the platform, which will be going on top of this. So the first step is laying a piece of plywood subfloor, then building basically a box on top of that, and then another sheet of plywood subfloor on top, then we're good to go. So this is a relatively easy process, but we got to be careful to make everything nice and precise and also anchor it into both of these walls so it's nice and strong. Let's get started. To begin, we took a 4x8 sheet of Advantech plywood and cut that down to size to give us a base for the landing. Once that was cut, we added some subfloor adhesive to the joist below and then dropped in the sheet of Advantech plywood. The glue will hold it, but we also added screws about every 8 inches, and I used a tape measure to make sure I hit those joists down beneath. It was now time to start building the actual landing. Here we're using some 2x8s. I first cut off the factory edge because that isn't always straight, and then we measured and cut to the right lengths all of our pieces. I've really been loving this DeWalt miter saw, and if you want to purchase one for yourself, I'll leave a link down in the description, as well as all the other tools that I use. Alright, so now that we roughly put it together without any nails to make sure everything fit, we're now ready to nail it. We're going to be using a DeWalt electric nailer, which is awesome. We got some additional nails here, and we got a speed square and a framing square, just to make sure everything is at a 90-degree angle. And then we'll put it together, bring it inside, and slap some plywood on top. And we're making sure to put this plywood down here so that we're building it on a very level surface, that as we nail it together, we know that it's perfectly flat. So that makes the install a lot easier. So we're using a square to line everything up, so we'll get it flat with this edge and then make sure it's flat here. And if it's off like this, we know to turn it in. And then we'll put some nails here and then keep moving. Before shooting the final nails to complete the outside frame, we checked for squareness by measuring the distance on the diagonals. And if you can't get enough of this DIY content, we also have a TikTok and Instagram at Golden Key Design for more real-time updates. Now back to the video. Once we got it into position, we screwed it into the surrounding studs, and this really locked it into position and gave it a lot more structural strength. After that, we added in our 2 beams in the middle. This will support the subfloor that goes on top. Similar to how we laid the first layer of subfloor, we started with some subfloor adhesive, then lowered the new subfloor into position, and then we also screwed it in so there's no creaks in the future. Alright, today we're going to be starting to build the platform for the staircase going from the first floor to now the basement. And in order to do that, we're first going to remove all this carpet, and then we're going to get a laser line so that we can line it up perfectly with the stairs upstairs, and that way the platforms are perfectly in line. And the platform is going to go all the way basically from here to both walls, and later on we might build a structure with some shelving. But anyway, let's get started. After pulling up the first layer of carpet, we realized that there was a second layer of even more ugly carpet, so that'll also have to go. This is proof that it really was built in the 70s. Okay, so now we have the carpet pulled out. We decided just to leave this as kind of like a foam underlayment. It'd be too much work to pull out and it shouldn't cause any issues. We should be able to just go right over top of it and be fine. So that's what we decided. And so now we're going to try and align this platform exactly with the one directly above us. We're going to use a laser to do that and make sure we have this corner perfect, and then we'll measure out to the walls to get the exact measurements that we need for the platform. So as you can see, we got this laser going. we line it up directly with the opening above, so that way we can align it down here. So it makes it a really quick process. The other way you can do this with a plumb bob, but we don't have one of those, so we're using a laser. And then we're gonna measure 1.5 inches outside of this, as that's where our platform will start. We'll take the measurement from here to that wall, and then we have our width. Now we're gonna do the same thing to determine the length in this direction. All right, so now we're setting up the laser for this side so we can measure the length. We have it perfectly in line with the platform above, and so now we're gonna mark it here on the floor. So now that we've made sure that this corner is accurate, we can measure from here to here to get this distance, and from here to here to get that distance. Now we're gonna go build that platform, bring it in, and then install it. While we have the laser set up, we're going to cut away the baseboard here. That way the platform can go all the way into the corner.
And here we're just taking some final measurements before going outside to make the cuts.
Okay, so after learning from building our first platform for the first floor, we're just going to build the outer perimeter of the platform by nailing it in, and we're making sure to use exterior rated nails because this is pressure treated wood. And so we're going to just be basically making a square, bring that into the basement, and then install the inner beams going in this direction once it's already in, because it'll be a lot easier to carry in with it being lighter. So let's get started.
As I mentioned, this is pressure treated lumber, and that's because we're putting this on a concrete subfloor, and therefore moisture can transfer from the concrete to the wood, and therefore it's best to be safe and use some pressure treated material.
So now that we have it in position and we know everything fits, we're now going to lock it into position, and we're going to use some screws that are approved for treated lumber. Make sure you're not using the ones that aren't, because they're going to rust away. And we're just going to lock it in by screwing it into this wall, and that should be plenty strong. Gravity itself will just hold it into place. Once it's installed there, we're going to add the supports in this direction. Let's get to it.
If you guys are enjoying the video so far, I'd really appreciate it if you could give it a like, as it definitely helps the YouTube algorithm and allows me to reach a bigger audience. And also, if you haven't already, please subscribe. We have new DIY videos every single Saturday, and you'll be able to stay up to date on our progress on this lake house. We got lots more content coming your way, so stay tuned. After finishing all the inner blocking of the platform, it was time to cut the subfloor to go on top.
Alright, so now that we have this installed, we're going to be attaching some subfloor plywood, specifically Advantech, on top of this to lock it in. We're going to use some glue and then screw it in as well to get it fully secured. So let's go ahead and start.
And with that screw, both platforms were officially complete. Had to give it the old dance test to make sure it could stand the test of time. But I don't think this is going anywhere, especially with that pressure treated wood. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this. I know this wasn't extremely entertaining. We're just building boxes here, but this is all in preparation for the staircase to come. And please stay tuned next week as we can finally show our staircase off. And here's a little bit of sneak peek to show you guys what's to come. But I'm really excited for next week, so hope you guys tune in. And as always, thanks for watching and happy building. See you next week.